So to create a mock-up that looks three-dimensional for your worksheets or your ebook, the first thing that you're going to want to do is take a quick screenshot of the pages from your PDF so that you have an image. You could also save these as an image depending on where you're at, but an easy way to do it is just to take a screenshot. So I'm going to try to make it as large as possible in my window so that the screenshot's a little bigger. And if it's a little off, that's fine, but you do want it to be most of everything. So I'm actually going to So I'm going to take my screenshot. On a Mac, you can Command-Shift-4, and it will give you the crosshairs, and just drag it across. For the template we're going to do today, you'll want to have two. So go ahead and pick another page in your ebook or from your worksheets, and do the same, screenshot that. Again, you want to get as much of it in the screenshot as possible without going over. Next thing you're going to want to do, ignore my insanely messy desktop, is in Photoshop, if you have Photoshop. If not, then I'll have a download to help you out with this in just a few minutes. But in Photoshop, you're going to want to drag in the screenshots you just took and organize them a bit. So, dragging it onto my artboard here. Zoom out so you can see everything. Okay, so we have two separate pages here, and you can arrange them however you want. I want the cover to be on top of this interior page. So I'm going to pull that one to the top. And this will be fine. If you want to rotate, you can do things like rotate it. It really just depends on what you're looking for. Now, like I said before, if you do not have Photoshop, don't flip out. I'm going to create this part and then give you the image file to use to do your own. So what you want to do next is create a new layer, and you want to make it under everything else. Open up the brush tool and use something with no hardness, and you want the size to be fairly large. And then you're going to turn the opacity down to something pretty low. Make sure that you're on the layer behind your screenshots, and all you're really going to do here is trace along the outside edges and make sure that it's black. So then you're just going to be tracing along the outside edges to make it appear like there's a shadow. If you want to be very good, then do more on one side than the other. And the more you go over it, the darker it's going to get. because of that opacity. So there's that one. And then same thing, and you can do it right on the same layer as long as you're going to keep them. Once you do this, you won't be able to move them around, so make sure they're in the right spot. But this will also make, when you have a white sheet like this, it'll help it stand out. But keep your light direction the same. So in this one, the light's coming from somewhere up here, which is creating the darker shadow on this side. And you'll want to keep that the same here as well. So the bottom side will be the darker side, and maybe a little over here if that light is centered. This is important, just keeping it consistent and looking somewhat realistic. And you don't have to worry about going on top of it because it's the layer behind it, right? So from here, what you can do is two different things. You can go ahead and export this as a, let's just say a PNG. And my computer's being super slow. And we're just going to say that this is mockup for worksheets. And you can also do it without these top images to just give you this file. So I'm exporting that as a PNG as well. From here, we are going to go into Canva. You watch my online shopping. And create a new file. I'm going to just choose something rather large in this case. But you can do it for social media, whatever is easiest and fits with whatever you're trying to make. We'll just go into presentation. And then much like we did in Photoshop, we are just going to drag in those files. So I have the shadow file. I'm going to drag and drop that in to Canva. And I saved it as a PNG so that it wouldn't have that background. That way, if I want, I can change the color of the background to match my branding. So whatever that might be for you. Now you can see that it cuts it off. So I am going to want to enlarge it so that it meets the bottom half, just so that it doesn't look uncomfortable. And then because you only have the shadows, you can pull in whatever you want on top of that. So I'm going to use my original screenshots just to show you. So I'm going to pull those back in. And of course you could do other things as well if you have other, images or branded things that you wanted to show. You could totally pull those in as well. But for this example, I'm just going to pull this in. I'm going to size it to match the shadow and match the rotation. And I'm going to do the same with this one. You really do want to make sure that you keep them the same size. So try to, do a quick eyeball. If one page is bigger than the other, it's going to look awkward. And if you think that the shadows are too much, you can also change your transparency and bring it down a little bit. So if you prefer something more subtle, then you could do that, right? And there you go. So now you have a mock-up. You can change the order, and it's still going to work on top of those shadows. You could change this maybe to be an image, instead. So let's say you have this. This is a great example because it's not the same size. So you can get it aligned pretty well like we did before, but it's too tall. If you double click on it in Canva, it will give you a new box. This is just a clipping, so you're cropping down the images to match what's in that frame. And now you can see that you can also do an image and then resize that to match. Send it to, not all the way back, sorry, forward one. And there you go. So you can change it to be whatever you want, totally reusable, and now you have a mockup file. So I am going to share this with you all and make it editable, right? So perfect. I will be giving you all this design so that way you can use the shadows behind it and make your own mock-ups. I hope you enjoyed the quick tutorial.